On today's episode of The Bookie and The Bettors, what did we learn from preseason week number 1? I'm going to have the guys break down the AFC and NFC North and South. Could Caleb Williams be already a top 5 quarterback for the Chicago Bears? Let's find out.
Don't hold your breath on that one.
It's time for the Bookie and the Bettors show. If you're a sports fan, now it's time to play the odds and make every bet count. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service. Now introducing Rob Kowalski, the Bookie, and Randy White, the Bettor.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of The Bookie and The Bettors. I am your host, Robert Kowalski, joined once again by my friends and colleagues at Baldini's Casino, Nick Schulte.
Hey, Rob.
Randy White.
Hey, Rob.
Guys, preseason week 1 is now complete. I've taken notes. I believe that our general public would love to hear about these notes. So why don't we go ahead and begin right from the very, very beginning. Some things surprising, some things not so much. It's preseason. Yes, of course. However, from a betting perspective, that's kind of what the show's about. Let's go ahead and take a look exactly what has happened. Dogs, 10-4. Nope. Actually, 10-6 was the record of underdogs in week number 1 preseason. And to the under, boy, oh boy, after a adjustment, I guess, maybe everyone thought that the Hall of Fame game was going to be the kind of the principle behind it, but not so much.
Hey,
the under,
really quick,
12-4.
Was that 10-6 against the spread or money line?
No, against the spread.
Oh.
And again, real quick, and I know it's only week 1, but where did the rule change with the kickoff? Did it have an effect week 1?
Yes, it did, I guess. More.
I mean, it didn't affect the totals. Did it affect the totals? I know you had 2 games with a fairly decent run back on a couple of the games, but the rest of them, what did it do?
From a betting perspective?
Yeah.
Well, it sure made the bookies make a wholesale move by about 4 or 5 points, that's for sure. So you could see that adjustment was made and everyone pounced the other way. So a zigzag was definitely happening there. And you could probably see it already. If you take a look at week 2's lines, those line totals have already been adjusted downwards. So good point. I guess everyone wanted to see how much of it was going to make an impact. Well, let's just say the bookmakers over-adjusted.
Because I really believe it didn't have an impact. Now, I know they're getting through. There were some errors in a couple of the games, mistakes, a couple of flags. But I believe, was it the Falcon game where they had the flag, and then they basically said, okay, we're just letting you know we're not going to penalize you. And I'm going, okay, what do we got going on here?
Quick
Preseason.
Yeah, not to get off subject, but do the refs have preseason too? Like, do they try out to see who's going to be the ref for the year?
They do get graded. They get graded.
Right, because it's a union gig. So
yeah, they get graded on the preseason, and it kind of determines the mix for the year and who you're going to be basically teaming up with for each game. So they do get graded.
I want to just work out with Ed Hockley. I don't want to officiate with. I just want to work out with him.
How old is he? 85?
Something like that. He in the spring chicken.
Such incredible shape. So yes, week 1 NFL preseason is in the books. Underdogs 10-6 against the spread. Your totals went 12-4 to the under. So that is very, very telling. Whether you zig against our number come week number 2 is, to be determined. We'll take a look and see, because the numbers have been adjusted significantly now to the unders. We're starting to see some 34s, 33.5s. I think the Jet game is down to 31.5. All of this, of course, has plenty to do with who's starting and what has been told, at least by the coaching staff, as to who's going to be playing week 2. Some secrets, some not so much, but pays to learn, and it definitely pays to read exactly who's going to be playing these games.
What I was amazed with, Rob, I mean, looking, and I watched about 7 games this past week, but Michael Penix, again, a couple of the rookies really shined.
Yes.
Penix was, I think, 9-16, but looked very efficient back there. Now, he's not going to be a mobile quarterback, but he looked good in the pocket, and he has some zip on his passes. I think J.J. McCarthy's injury now, we're going to have to see how far has that set the Vikings back. I believe it's a meniscus, right?
Yeah, no, Randy, and I have to laugh because, I mean, yeah, of course you want to have a successful year, but boy, oh boy, I mean, the Vikings were going to be bad with J.J. McCarthy. So at this point, I have a feeling that if you took a look, I saw some video, I think, from yesterday. Sam Darnold was threw a pass that ended up becoming a pick six against him. And you could tell in the video because he's wearing the red vest. The moment he slings it and he sees the ball going the other way, he just puts his hands on his knees and just looks down into the grass and he's just like, oh, this is going to be a long year. Sam Darnold, your starting week 1 quarterback. There's no way around it, Vikings fans. Didn't look too good.
So let me ask, if you're a fantasy player, does that have an impact on Justin Jefferson?
I would think so.
Yeah, absolutely. I
think
saw Jefferson in, I guess it all depends on the format, and we could have an entire, forget about show, we could have an entire podcast on these. However, I thought I saw Jefferson going from like top 3 to like, end of the first round, just off of that alone. He's still going to have a great year.
Oh, yeah.
But poor Vikings. Sorry, guys.
Going to be a tough
year. Well, and the other thing that I noticed was a kicking game. Now, granted, it's week 1. This could be an odd year for extra points and those 35 to 40-yard field goals where it was a chip shot and pass. And I don't know why. It's week number 1. And the question that I have, was Aaron Rodgers a coach?
No, you're not going to see.
I mean, he's old enough to be a coach.
He looked like he was a coach.
He might not even have cleats on. So
no, he didn't.
Don't even much sweating about him. However, you made a good point. I wanted to touch on a couple other players that I saw, just a few teams. So you mentioned Penix, very good performance. J.J. McCarthy, very good performance.
Yeah.
However,
we
out
don't know
indefinitely.
how long,
Jaden Daniels, hello Washington. He played 11 snaps, looked great. 2 for 3, 45 yards in his drive, including that one designated rush, which he went off tackle to the right for an easy touchdown. Mm-hmm. He looked fantastic. Washington now, maybe a little tick up in terms of at least season win total. I definitely wanted to go ahead and make a note of them. Thoughts on? I mean, I know we kind of touched on the East.
Got some big guys on at the wide receiver spot.
Yes.
Obviously, Cole Turner's in that mix. The ex-Nevada player
Dotson.
tied in. The wide receivers look good, but Jaden Daniels was quick. Play you're talking about where he went up, he was quick to that edge, and again the edge rushers couldn't do anything. So that could be a good sign. Again, that run pass option in the NFL, I don't think works. Obviously you go back to Colin Kaepernick really being the first run pass option guy that you really dominated. But what do you see now? I mean,
it took defenses about a good season to figure that out, and now they know how to stop it. So I mean, they're going to definitely game plan for it.
Very interesting with some of the rookies, and then looking at Joe Burrow, he looked good for the series he was in. You look at some of the vet play. I was shocked that as many veterans played as they did. It looked like more of the wideouts and running backs and those type of guys didn't suit up versus the quarterbacks.
Yeah, those that knew. They were obviously, RB1s or wide receiver ones. For the better part, if you got yourself a nice, decent-sized contract, probably the coaching staff also didn't want to play them and waste them on a preseason game when they already know all the routes anyway. The other team, Nick, you circle the wagons against the Chicago Bears months ago. However, Caleb Williams looked even better in some cases. He had himself 17 snaps. Looked like the real deal to me. I think he had 4 of 7 in his drive. Was it 95 yards, a rush for 13. All the weapons to make this look like a pretty remarkable season for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, it looks great against a third-string defense. Still trying to make the team. Again, it's preseason. It's week 1. Don't take too much away from it. I mean, obviously, I think your offensive guys are out there and they're trying to make plays, but your defensive, especially from the play calling, they're trying to kind of piece together their defense and how it's going to work, how they're going to play together. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to look great when you're really not, game planning around a quarterback or something like that, which he's going to see, and I think he's going to have some trouble with. But we'll see what happens.
And they've already got him passing Jack Concannon, Bobby Douglas.
Zip on the pass. Efficient. Randy Weick, Nick Schulte.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Top 5 quarterback all time for the Chicago Bears.
Where did you find that?
Yes or no?
No.
Well, considering I can only name about 3 of them, I'd say that's
so. The answer is yes.
Potentially.
I don't know what a Bobby Douglas is.
The left-handed zipper. They called him the left-handed zipper.
No, you made that up.
No, he threw a very nice zip pass, and they used to call it a zip back in the days when you could fling it. Now they call it flinging it. But Bobby Douglas had a great pass. And keep in mind, Bobby Douglas was very mobile. Again, for you guys that don't remember, and again, I played when they didn't have the chin strap and all that. But obviously, we've got him already up there with Jim McMahon, Mitchell Trubisky. Where are some of these other guys? Oh, and we can't forget the boy that went on to Cutler. Can we?
I just Google searched flinging it, and I'm getting things that don't relate to football, Randy. So you made that up.
No, I didn't. Pull it up.
I just Googled it.
This was pre-internet when they used to call it that.
Fling it, yeah. Stick with the old guy.
Let's go. Let's stay a little bit local if it's at least very least in our beautiful state.
Really quick, bring it up. I mean, who would you say is the top Chicago Bear quarterback of all time?
Oh, McMahon by far.
Okay.
Super Bowl winner, unbeaten. I mean, one of the greatest.
I could have been the quarterback for the Bears then and won the Super Bowl, Randy.
Yeah, that defense was awesome. Well, it goes back to even, I just went blank. The guy that led the Ravens to the title.
Lewis?
No. The quarterback. I know who you're talking about.
Fresno State.
Flacco.
Kid. No. Trent Dilfer.
Trent Dilfer.
So the same difference.
Defense was awesome. All he had to do was just
So
not
was
turn the
McMahon
ball
a good
on.
quarterback then?
Yeah, because McMahon could fling it.
Is that the word of the day? Flinging it?
Let's stay a little bit local right now. I wanted to take a look at the Raider game, and we still obviously don't know who the quarterback's going to be, whether it's going to be Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell. It looks like it might not matter. Hey, Bowers, they've got themselves a tight end. I am very pleased with how they use Bowers in this game. They lined him up on the slot. They lined him up at fullback. He looks really good. I know he's just a rookie, but Georgia product kid looks like he's going to be able to have an instant impact. So great pick there. Looks like they landed themselves
and
some
he's
gold.
A bull. He is a bull.
He's gigantic, right?
Yeah.
He's
competing against these veterans. He's a bull. Yes.
I'm very, very happy with the way they used Brock Bowers. Additionally, another Georgia product.
They may need him on defense.
Oh, good luck with that. That's a whole other story. See if they could get the points first. Yeah. Zamir White, they absolutely made another great move. I mean, look, everyone was like, hey, wait a second. How could you give up on Josh Jacobs that quickly? This guy's a workhorse. Well, have a look here at Zeus, the nickname of Zamir White. He looked fantastic.
Yes, he did.
In the game as well. So great moves here that everyone on the surface, when you look at it, you're like, hey, how could you make these moves? So, what are you thinking here? Yeah. Well, here you go. And it's only preseason week 1. I was pleased with them from an offensive perspective.
And again, Antonio Pierce reminds me of Dan Campbell from the Lions. The guy, I mean, if you've seen him, he's into the game. He talks their level. Obviously, being the ex-player that he was, and I like he's motivated on that sideline, and I like that. Even in an exhibition game, he's trying to make some moves and get the platooning right with who he's going to have in there as far as the depth chart goes. And I was pleased. I mean, I thought he did a great job.
Definitely.
Unfortunately,
looks like
they lost on the last-second field goal, but.
Looks like he's got the respect of the locker room.
Yeah.
So that's going to be
that's
a big.
Actually, the first important thing, right from the opening couple of weeks. If you don't have that, you got
the Raiders.
What's the season win total on those guys?
6.5.
Hey, I just go back to the Oakland A's. What were they, 41, 42 games? Look where they're at. Raiders. The Raiders.
Luckily for you, you don't have to worry about the Oakland A's.
No, you don't, but they're
all... No, you. Specifically, Randy Wyke.
Oh, yeah, you gave up on him earlier.
The divorce decree is in... I have it right here. It's been stored from a couple of episodes
I thought
ago.
They're terrible. They still are terrible. But they're going to beat the record.
What are we going to be calling them next year? Just the A's?
Oh, no.
To be determined A's?
TBDAs. Let's call them that. No, they're going to Sacramento, aren't they?
Yeah, so are they the Sacramento A's?
Yes. Has to be.
I don't know. Stay tuned.
The Northern California A's.
Yeah, there you go.
Gentlemen, I took a look, moving to a different topic, however, staying with the NFL. I looked at the NFL schedule very, very closely for a number of reasons. However, boy, oh boy, TV and ad revenue has made an instant impact on the NFL schedule this year, and it's really affected some franchises. Something that I took a look at is rest, okay? And the difference between how much a team can have days rest versus their opponent based on whether they played on Thursday or Monday or Friday or really any day. I think that the way the schedule has been played itself out this year is the most intense disparity and the delta that I have found between some teams that have an awful lot more rest in between games versus some that don't.
And how did you come up with this net? I mean, what you're looking at week to week?
I just pulled up the NFL schedule and I saw
how many days rest they have.
How many days rest
over a course of 1 week.
Over the course of a week versus the other.
Gotcha.
Gentlemen, the Baltimore Ravens now have the number one largest net rest edge since at least 1990 and likely the largest in NFL history. This is a 16-day delta. So I can preface this so you understand exactly what we're looking at. Over the course of their entire season, they have 16 more days rest than any opponent that they'll ever play in this coming NFL schedule. That's why I have boosted them significantly, not only in their season win total, but in their odds to win conference and the Super Bowl. Yes, Nick, I am looking at your incredibly beautiful
rigged.
eyes.
It's rigged.
The 49ers. They had it bad last year with the schedule, but this year they have the largest net rest disadvantage of minus 21 days in the last decade and the number 6 largest since 1990.
Goodell's just trying to get a championship for Lamar. That's what it comes down to.
So what are we staring at here? The schedule features a 37-day swing in net rest between the best, plus 16, and the Ravens, and the worst, minus 21, which is the Niners. It's the worst delta for any NFL season going back to 2024 football seasons. The NFL schedule also features a schedule in where there are 101 games played out of the 272 football games. That's 37% of the games where one team has a rest advantage over their opponent, which is the most in NFL history. Randy Wyke, if you don't think that I am not baking that statistic into the Book It Baldini's odds, then you are very sorely mistaken, and I have a bridge to sell you.
Well, that's an interesting stat. Because, again, when you look at these NFL teams, and let's name the 49ers.
Yep.
49ers are compiled with a ton of veterans.
Yep.
Now you go that extra week in the NFL season, and 49ers were banged up last year for a part of it, and they had a tough schedule last year. This could be very detrimental to them in even capturing the division because they are so veteran-dominated. It's going to be interesting to see. I would like to look back and look at the 6th largest team, or number 6 largest since 1990. How did those other 5 teams do with that disadvantage of the schedule? But 49ers would concern me as far as injuries.
They were not good. In the games that the Niners last season, Nick, had a rest disadvantage, in those 4 games, they were 1-3 against the spread. And one game, they had to come back and basically just win at the buzzer. So they got the cover that way, but it's not
interesting
good at all.
No. I like to say, I mean, they're professionals. They know how to train. They know how to, get their bodies in to where it needs to be. However, back to what Randy kind of pointed out is you're a little more injury prone for sure. We don't have those rests, and I definitely think it's going to impact the O and the D line more than anything else.
And again, this point, and I know, we'll have to wait till next year, but I keep harping on it. The NFL, with as big and strong as these athletes are, and they're looking at going an extra week still, taking one of the exhibition games.
6 years
It's
from
the
now.
worst thing that could ever happen to this game next to the NIL and the transfer portal in college football. These guys are going to get banged up, and you're talking about teams, again, from the betting perspective, that are going to be without their stars for multiple weeks, which is going to affect the betting lines, how they end up with the win-loss record. I think we really need to watch that this year, and I think that's an excellent stat, Rob. Let's see how the Ravens do as far as injuries versus the 49ers.
I've been pushed over to the edge. I actually now have Baltimore as the AFC favorite to win the conference. It's just based off of what I discover right there. I just have to go in that direction. Yes, they improved themselves, roster perspective, offense, defense, special teams. But this rest stat that I found, absolutely.
You're saying right now Ravens are going to win the AFC and be in the Super Bowl.
Correct.
And so, again, and I don't know if you looked far enough, So the 101 games that were played out of the 272, did the rested teams win what percentage?
Well, we're about to find out. However, previous records have shown more rest equals more wins. So and let's go ahead and just unfold this just another minute here on this. So in addition to this rest factor that was built into this year's schedule, there's 66 games this year that's going to be played where one team has 3+ days of rest advantage, which is the most in NFL history. A team with an insane 8 games with a rest disadvantage. That's nearly 50% of their schedule. The most games in a season in NFL history. That's the 49ers. 8 games. A schedule featuring 4 teams that will be playing 5+ games with more rest than their opponent, while multiple teams playing only 1 such game. A schedule featuring multiple teams playing at least 7 games where their opponent has over a week to prepare for the game. Previous only 3 total teams in 31 years
Interesting.
had at least 7 such games, and 6 teams playing at least 6 games where their opponent has over a week to prepare, while one team plays 0 games where their opponent has over a week to prepare. That's the Patriots, by the way. Finally, a schedule that's made 10 teams play 3 games in 10 days after not having any teams do so in the prior 5 years combined.
Wow.
3 games in 10 days.
3 games in 10 days.
That's a lot.
10 teams will be privy to that beautiful schedule. So,
You
yes,
see injuries all over the place.
there will be injuries. Yes, there will be.
But you know, it'd be great to get a coach or a former coach on our panel. How does this change the perspective of you get the 1 off week?
Yeah.
Some 2, depending on how it falls. But does it change your practice?
I think it definitely changes your game plan.
Of, okay, Monday's always been an off day. You watch film.
Of course.
That type of thing.
Far more off days. You'd have to say you'd have to.
Right? I mean,
Just
it
to
would be
recover.
interesting to get one of the coaches. Hey, if you guys see our YouTube presentation, come out, ask to be on the show because we'd like to ask that question.
What do you mean if?
Well, yes, please.
Everyone's
call us.
watching our show.
Yeah. Well, I'm coaching staff, though. If you've been a former coach or your current coach, those are questions we'd like to ask. How has it changed the perspective of week game plans when you have a disadvantage like this to how many days and number of games you're going to play within a period?
No, I definitely think it's going to favor more clock management, time management, and just kind of play calling. One would assume you would be a little more apt to run the ball. Keep that play clock running a little bit more, and then obviously I would assume the pass defense would be the first.
Well, and again, as I've said many times on this show, the players are bigger, stronger. The elasticity, which means a lot as far as, hamstrings and ACL and Achilles tendon. Now you start doing that where you tighten up because you're playing so many games. You don't have a chance to loosen up or stretch those ligaments, if you will. And I really believe that these guys being bigger and stronger has hurt themselves. Let alone they put more impact on the tackle.
Oh, 100%.
So,
Yes.
the Raiders.
As in, they're going to be injured this year?
Well,
is that just a random?
That's an every year occurrence, right? But I think that's an interesting stat you came up with, and I think that does have some
It's
impact.
right there. Dug it out.
In
This is what we do
2024.
here at the Bookie and The Bettors show. And of course, so much more. If you like what you see, please just spend just a second. Go ahead, click that like button, hit that subscribe button. This way you get all the information the moment it lands. Obviously, our episodes here are every single week. What we're going to do is focus every single episode. I'm going to have both Randy and Nick really start to put their nose into those grindstones because they're going to have to survive every single NFL week. I'm going to have a survivor pool-esque segment in each episode where they're going to come up with their top selection every single week to advance. So for all of you for all of you participating in survivor pools, as we call them, we're going to have those picks for you every single week, broken down by, yes, not only How much of a favorite are they? Are they playing a division game? Are they home? How much rest do they have? All of these and so much more.
Well, and I have a big question. Honey, I know you're watching. My wife had the question. How did the hip drop tackle come into play this first week in the exhibition? I'm with you, honey.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at two more divisions, the AFC and the NFC.
He doesn't want to answer that,
North
honey.
and South.
We still have the hip drop tackle at home, babe.
The AFC North is somehow the best division in football since 2020, almost a 63% winning percentage. So, gentlemen, what I wanted to do is to take a look at these two divisions in both of these conferences. I want to go ahead and just break down the odds right now from a betting perspective. As we wrap up our show, I want you guys to come up with your selections for who's going to win these divisions. Let's start off with the AFC North. Right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 8-1 to win the division. The Browns at 6-1. And then it's pretty much neck and neck. The Bengals plus 150. The Ravens plus 130. Nick, you start us off. AFC North, your division champ.
I would say going with the Ravens.
The Ravens.
The rest is your friend.
I may have pushed that one a little. Randy White, a little bit different there. I know we talked about Burrow just a moment ago.
I'm telling you right now, Joe Burrow has the best wideouts in the NFL. If they stay healthy and Joe Burrow is healthy and Cincinnati now has anchored some of that defense, the defensive line, a couple new linebackers, watch out for the Bengals. And plus 150 is a terrific.
Yeah, of course, and we haven't talked about the fact that maybe, just maybe, our local kid, Brandon Ayuk, may end up as a Pittsburgh Steeler or maybe a New England Patriot, or who knows. At this point, we've kind of been talking about this for weeks.
They went back to like 2009 to get some of their wide receivers, right? They got guys that came in the league in 2009 now they're brought back.
Let's move on to the AFC South. Going ahead and do the North and South from both conferences. The AFC South and the current odds of the Book of Baldinis right now, the Tennessee Titans to win the division, almost 10-1. Let's call it plus 950. The Colts plus 325. Jaguars plus 275. And the Houston Texans, boy, did they really shake up this league. They're almost even money to win the division. Nick, do you think we see an upset here?
No, I kind of like the Jaguars this year, actually.
Yes, we do then. All right. Okay, excellent. Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver, looked really electric. That other LSU kid, he looked really, really good. One thing that I noted was how much he could stretch the field. He definitely looked like he's going to have a very important role offensively. So may see a surprise there in Jacksonville. Plus 275. Nice pick. Nick, that is his pick for the division. Randy White, how about you?
I've got Jacksonville winning that division, so I have them also.
Nice. Going against Houston. I like this. Plus 275 for the both of you in the AFC South, AFC North.
I mean, how many times, and again, maybe that just could be something I think, but how many times do you see kind of a younger team come out and have a really good season, and then usually that next year they kind of fall back a little bit,
Often. That's a very good point.
So
what's the old?
I great things in Houston. I just think they're not going to be the same.
What's the old wise tale? The sophomore jinx. Did it not happen with Lawrence?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen now with Houston? I like that defense with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think that's going to be the telling story this year.
Gentlemen, let's move over to the NFC as we look to wrap up this great episode. The NFC North, as we talked about their odds right now. The Vikings, well, it is. The Vikings are, forget about to win the Super Bowl or to win the conference, to win the division, they're 10-1 in the back of the caboose. The Bears plus 350, the Packers plus 190, and the Lions plus 140. Randy White, you're up first.
Well, you know where I'm going with this. Dan Campbell all the way. And again, I just love the way he's got these guys motivated. Let's face it. These last couple of seasons, you've seen Detroit. They're not wearing paper bags when they go to the games.
No, they're
like
not.
The Saints.
It's true.
I really like this team. And again, I think was it Gibbons that got hurt this week?
Jahmyr Gibbs, minor injury. I don't know if he's going to be hobbled for an extended period of time, but the way it looked like to me, it might be 2 to 4 weeks.
So I don't know what's going to happen with Gibbs with that running attack, but I'm going to tell you right now, I love this team. I like them a lot.
Nick Schulte.
It's probably going to be the Lions, but I like the value at the Packers. Where were they at?
Almost 2 to 1, right?
Yeah, how do you not take them at that point?
Ex-Nevada boy, Romeo. Oh, how art thou, Romeo?
Supposedly, although it definitely looked like they spread the ball around significantly, and they did in the last quarter of last season. It wasn't any different here in week number 1 of the preseason, but it did look like Romeo Doubs might be wide receiver 1. We shall find out this coming week.
And I don't believe he played this past week, right?
No.
The first week?
No. NFC South, gentlemen, to wrap up our show here. Carolina Panthers are 11-1 to win the division. The Saints plus 375. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3-1, and the Atlanta Falcons now being run by Kirk Cousins at the helm minus 120, the largest favorite in this particular segment to win the division. Randy Wyke, going to be changing any ideas here, or is it the Falcons?
Thought the Atlanta Falcons had a great draft.
Yes, they did.
I thought they did a great job with the trades. I'm telling you, this is going to be a very good team. And you look at depth in this conference, in this division. You look at the depth on this team. Dennis Allen with the Saints, I'm not sold on this team. And obviously, the ex-Raider is still the number 1 guy at quarterback. Isn't that not correct? Derek Carr?
Yes.
I really like the Falcons. I like the fact that I think this defense has really been shored up. And Cousins, you the man.
Nick, can I talk you off the favorite here? I've seen that you've been taking the second pick in each division here, but
and I have no real data to support this, but when I look at the Falcons, they find ways to lose games. Completely different teams, and I get it, but it's always the Falcons. They find a way. So with that said, I'm going Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Remember now, I just brought up Penix looked very good this week. So now you have, I think they've got a backup there should, God forbid, Cousins get hurt. Watch out for this team. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, watch out for them.
This was, as always, such a pleasure, gentlemen. It always goes without saying, I do like to eat, and I like to talk about something that's non-sports or even betting related. I saw news not too long ago that Taco Bell, they had a burger. At one point.
That's un-American.
At one point, they said it was coming back. It's called the Bell Beefer. So Taco Bell made a burger. Think of it more like a sloppy Joe-ish kind of, burger, but it's a Bell Beefer. So I ask you this. Would you rather, to end the show, have a burger from Taco Bell or a taco from a burger shop? Let's just say Burger King. You have to.
Can I do Jack in the Box tacos?
No. I'm glad you
good.
pointed them out. You can't pick Jack in the Box because they're sort of like a
it's a burger shop. They sell burger.
Jack in the Box kind of like a little bit of everything. We want to give you all. We want to give you breakfast.
No, let's break this down. So what do you want? The home with a frame broiled
yes,
taco?
Yeah, no. Okay, so here it is. Here's the prop. You could have a taco from Burger King, or you could have the Bell Beefer from Taco Bell. You have to choose one.
I'm doing Burger King taco. Why not?
I'm going all the way with Taco Bell. I love
Bell
that
beef
ground. Yeah, I love the ground beef. And the Bell Beefer's the ground beef, is it? Right? It's not shredded, right?
No. Yeah, it's a ground beef. Yes.
I'm sorry I've missed that, folks. Turn out the lights. The party's over.
Every time we had it.
Yeah.
I thought we had. I was going to end it right there.
Edit that out at the end.
We could edit it?
Yeah.
All right, Chris, we could go ahead and edit that out. Well, that's all for our show today. For Randy Wyke and Nick Schulte, I'm your host, Robert Kowalski. Thank you so much for joining us. See you again next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Bookie and the Bettor Show. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service.